At the Office, Cleveland's home for sports talk that never clocks out. From the latest headlines to heated debates, we're diving into everything sports. It's your hosts, Noah, John, and Erik.
Cleveland! In the words of Jay-Z, you could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with me, and I appreciate it. Or I should say here with us at the Office, a show where the three work buddies debate and discuss top sports stories in Cleveland, around the country, sometimes the globe. We all know Erik's a soccer fan. Sometimes we got to go Premier League. Before we get started, reminder, you can join us too. Send us a comment, YouTube, Facebook, X, text or call the show, 216-260-3433. It'll pop up at the bottom of the screen for you, but that's 216-260-3433. I'll ask myself how you're doing. The answer is I'm doing great. Lots going on. Dolan passed away. Cavs hit the Phil Jackson 40-20 mark. We beat the Magic by 40. NFL Combine. There's draft talk. But before we get into it, fellas, how we doing?
I'm living, man. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling great. I'm watching my parlay slowly, hopefully hit over here on the left side. I'm talking to you guys on the right side. I'm looking up at my camera over here. I'm feeling good. Erik, how you doing, buddy?
I'm good. I mean, starting off with Jay-Z, maybe not the right time anymore to do that. But no, I'm doing good. I feel good. 40-20 mark indeed. And they have lost only 10 games. It's wild.
Yeah, it's insane. I went with the Jay-Z reference because he's off the hook as far as we know. I thought it was okay. We can't cancel everybody, but you get the point. Yeah, man. Noah, did you tell the folks how you're doing?
Yeah. I don't know what you're thinking, man. You're all disheveled. Had a one camera issue, and now you're all over the place, huh?
I am all over the place. We had some technical difficulties. Apologize, we're a couple minutes late, but the good news is it was worth the wait. We got a good show for you tonight. We're going to talk some pigskin. We're going to talk about tanking, but we're going to begin this episode where we always start it with our 30-second take. So 30-second take name tonight, heads up, a little misleading. We're going to do something we've never done in the show's history. We're going to intentionally give everyone a little bit more time. We talked a little bit about this before tonight. We got some great stories for you. I promise it'll be worth it. But we still have a mute button. So before I tell you the topic, it's 60-second takes maybe, not 60 minutes. We don't need to go crazy. We're just going to go over 30 to get the content in. But what we want to talk about is what your favorite sports moment was. Now, this isn't your typical, like, the Cavs won the championship on Father's Day. We want to hear about a personal note, not Raji Davis's home run, unless you were there with your dad and there's some reason it's really deeply connected to you. But what is your deep personal or special sports moment as an individual? Since we're skipping the timer, we don't have to worry about getting it teed up. But Noah, why don't you get us started and tell us what your favorite sports moment is on a personal note?
Yeah, so as it has been talked about on the show before, I am a part-time Cleveland Cavaliers employee. So I get a lot of interaction with our Cleveland Cavaliers. So fittingly, I wore a Cavs shirt tonight to tell my story. My story is very simple. It won't take 3 years like Erik's probably will or John's probably will, knowing you two and how much you guys talk.
Shots fired.
But I want to shout out a guy that is no longer in the wine and gold, George Niang, because he gave me one of my most favorite moments as a Cavs employee in the season and a half that I've done this. We wear those beautiful baby blue jerseys this season in conjunction with the Cleveland Museum of Art. So when we wear those jerseys, there's a different intro, Moondogs painting. There's a big painting, right? I was responsible for helping carry out this big ass painting for the game that I worked when it was one of these Jersey nights. And we get the painting on the floor. We're right at the baseline. And, you know, they're still doing their shoot around because we bring it out early, so we're prepped. And George Niang comes out of nowhere, grabs a basketball, points at me, points at my friend Devin, who's been on the show before, cocks the ball back like he's going to throw it through the painting, and pump fakes us. Obviously, we knew he was kidding, and then just starts laughing, gives us a pat on the back, and goes to the shoot around. One of the coolest, just like, yeah, I'm supposed to be here moments in terms of my Cleveland fandom and Cleveland sports career, I guess, even though it is a part-time career. So that's my story.
I like it, Noah. That's a cool moment. You got some behind the scenes intel, what it's like to work for the Cavs, being down on the court, horsing around with the players. I like it. E, what do you got?
I'll take it a little bit of a different way. So, you guys know, and most of my friends know that when I was 15, I had cancer. It was bad, stage 4B. But one of the cooler things that arose from that, this is 2007, was in October, everything was finishing up. So that from like May to October was some of the worst times of my life. But I was getting through it. I was good. And then I had the opportunity to throw out the first pitch for what was then the Indians playoff game against the Yankees. And I threw out the first pitch. Behind me was Queen Latifah. So I got to hang out with her for a little bit. She's super down to earth, super cool. There's a picture of us holding the balls together. Noah can throw up in a sec. But I went out there. I threw the first pitch. She was cool. Little funny aside, though. Afterwards, we're sitting watching the game. This is the Jabba Midge game, by the way, where he was attacked. And we went on to win in part because of that. But afterwards, we're watching the game. And me and my parents are sitting in a row. And behind us is Queen Latifah, her security people, and then Craig Sager, because they were going to throw it to Craig to, give the little interview with her. He was super cool as well. Well, a foul ball comes our way, and it lands in the row in front of me and my parents. Mind you, I had just thrown out the first pitch with Queen Latifah. My dad dives like he's never seen a foul ball in his life, gets it, comes up with it. And, they were joking, like Queen Latifah's like, man, your son has a ball already, you're going hard for that. But it was a good time and a good moment amidst the chaos that was that summer.
Yeah, I love that one too, Ian. We don't have a chance to say it, but I know it's a while in the past, but congrats again on beating that son of a bitch cancer. The world is
glad
better
you're here,
with you in it, brother. So we're glad you're here for sure.
Love you guys.
Love you too, man.
Mine's a little bit sentimental too. So mine goes to the Cavs. It was the championship season. So we're going back in time. As you guys know, I have 4 daughters. They're all getting really old. At this time, I only had 3. Michaela, who's now about to graduate college, was 13. Maxine was 5. Julia's 3. Their school gets this thing where they can do the Scream Team tunnel to greet the players as they run out. But in typical pro sports fashion, you got to be there like 3 hours before tip-off. They got to go down a dark hallway and wait in the bowels of the stadium, and the parents can't go. So I'm sending a 13-year-old in charge of 2 kids under the age of 5, and I'm giving them the dad, don't touch anything, don't say anything, don't do. And my kids are really, really well behaved, but I'm like, you can never be too sure. So they get down there. We wait the 2 hours and 45 minutes. The team's getting ready to come out. They walk out in their T-shirts, and I'm like beaming, right? I'm like, my kids are on the court. Everything's going well. They're not touching anything. I sip my beer, high five a dad next to me, and turn around. And the 5-year-old has broken ranks, has walked to the Cavs bench, and is pulling one of the assistant coach's suit jackets, who's trying to get the bench ready for the game. So I'm like mortified, right? I'm 150 feet away. I'm like, what the actual hell is going on right now? I told you not to touch anything. But then I see some chaos. I see a couple towel boys run out. They grab the towels. They start wiping the floor. Well, one of the other kids on the Scream Team little tunnel got a little nervous and had a little too much to drink and pissed his pants in the middle of the court, right where the team was supposed to come out.
Okay.
My kids saw it, contacted an adult, got it wiped up. And when I say a 1/10 of a second before Kevin Love and Kyrie Irving ran through that spot, it couldn't have been more than 5 seconds. Now, if you know how injury prone Kevin Love and Kyrie Irving were during that run, you know that a slip-on piss in the middle of the season could have ended the entire run. So my special sports memory is that in my own little way, my girls saved the Cavs championship season because all was dry and all was well, and all the pee got wiped up off the floor. But that was a pretty fun day and a pretty funny moment.
That's
wild.
Fantastic.
I think she deserves
love
a ring. Honestly,
she deserves a ring. I got to email Dan. Hopefully, we get another one this year. She'll have her pick.
I'll have my own at that point. You know what I mean?
There you go. That's what I'm talking about.
do.
Go.
Even as part-time, I'd have a ring. I will be so ignorant with that ring on this show. I will have it on no matter what for the eternity. And it's not even, so I don't know if you guys know this. The rings that they give out, there's
The
like tiers to
yeah.
it.
There's
Yeah,
like 3
okay.
or 4. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you're
you're
not getting the
gonna
diamonds. You're not getting the
$150 one. Then there's like the 30
Yeah.
grand one that the player, like the coaches and assistants, and then there's the players and the main coach that get like the full blown.
Yeah,
100
I will
grand
be
or-
getting the silver-plated cubic zirconia bullshit, but god darn it, I didn't want to swear twice back to back. I will be wearing that ring on the show
Hey.
religiously. Birdman hand
Ring's
rub
a
and
ring,
all.
baby.
Yes,
Yeah, those
sir.
rings, the 95% of the value of those rings has nothing to do with how much they're intrinsically worth. It's what you had to do to get there.
100%.
I'm not saying I sold a bunch of them from China during our first championship, ordered like 10, and so they were like 50 cents a pop, $2 a pop, and sold them for like around 150. I'm not saying I did that, but I'm saying if I did, I'm probably going to stock up again this year if we win.
As you should, King. As
He's
you
got-
should.
He's got the OJ, if I did it, here's how book. Like, I'm not saying I did it.
That's crazy.
Go get in my Bronco now.
Yeah. Fun little fact, too, about championship rings before we move on. I don't know how it's changed with NIL, but because athletes were considered amateurs until a few years ago, national championship rings for college are fake, too. I don't think they could cost more than $500. So the national championship meant a lot to Alabama, regardless of the fact that Saban's rings aren't actually gold. I think he actually had some made in gold for himself, but you get the point. The players didn't.
That's
That
crazy.
makes
I didn't know
sense.
that actually,
'Cause-
but it makes sense for sure with
You see
amateurism.
them pop up now and again for sale. Players will sell them, and they're not, I mean, they're expensive, but they're not, 50 grand or whatever. So that makes sense.
Yeah, you want an NFL Super Bowl ring, it's going to set you back a lot more. Interesting. I hope to be talking championship rings again with you guys this summer, but let's get this show moving forward into the next segment. But before we do, we told some good stories. I will drink to that. And I was getting a little thirsty, which means it's a good time to mention our sponsor. As you know by now, our show is brought to you by D&D Meadery. Two twin brothers, Derek and Dominic, right up the road in Madison, have rekindled the long-lost art of making mead. The honey mead is my favorite. I ordered some more. It's sweet. It's smooth. It's perfect to share. It's perfect not to share. And if you order and use the code @theofficecle, that's @the-office CLE, you can get $5. You can get 5% off of your order. If you order $100, it's also $5 off, but it's 5% off with the code. Buy 2, buy 4. They go fast, and if you get at least 2, you get a free shot glass too. So D&D Meadery, shout out. Thank you for the sponsorship. You guys make sure to pick up a bottle.
They are so good. Like, so
Fantastic tasting. This is my 6th bottle, and I'm not even kidding. This is my 6th bottle.
good. And by the way, our next sponsor will make the code a little easier, but that is @the-office CLE.
Yes, thank you for
We'll work
clarifying.
on that next time.
Yeah, it's scrolling across the bottom. But with that, I want to get into our first topic. This is going to be a fun one. Sometimes we do current events. Sometimes we get like heady and thought-provoking. Sometimes we spiral. But today we're doing our own version of a good old-fashioned ranking. We're going to answer the question, who the best quarterback is in the National Football League. Now, there was no guardrails or criteria other than who is the best right now, 2025, whatever that means to you. So the last 15 years might count. Maybe it's just this year. Number of championships might count. Maybe it's just who's doing the most with the least. Maybe MVPs weigh in. It's really up to us, but we're going to rank them individually. Majority rules at each level. And if by chance we each pick someone different and we have 3 different answers at 1 through 10, well, we got a little bit of a tiebreaker in store for you. We'll have to wait and see if it happens, and we can talk more about it then. Let's get this thing kicked off. I've been excited to have this conversation with you. Sometimes we do topics, and it's like you got to stay within this is an old-fashioned sports argument, right? Who's the best quarterback in the NFL? This is the kind of stuff that comes up at the office where you took a 7-minute coffee break and you realize you've been talking for an hour and 15 minutes. You got to get work done. E, who's the number one quarterback in the National Football League? So Noah and I can tell you why you're wrong.
I'll be shocked if we're not all aligned here on the number one pick because it's Patrick Mahomes. There is no other answer. So I'm glad that you introed it in saying that there's a lot of factors that could have went in how we determine this individually. The way that I did it is I pretended that I'm GM of my make-believe team, the Sharks. And for the Sharks, I get to pick any quarterback to come from a team and be my quarterback. And thinking about it that way, the only answer is Mahomes. There's a lot of good quarterbacks out there. Don't get me wrong. And, you know, some could say, hey, they just got demolished by the Eagles and they didn't adjust very well. You'd think for a quarterback that's number one in the league, they would do some better adjusting. No, that tells you more about the Eagles than it does about the Chiefs, or maybe more about the Chiefs' offensive line. But if I'm taking a guy, he's a proven winner. He does unbelievable things. I mean, he started inventing the no-look pass. He's taken it to a level that we frankly haven't really seen in the NFL. And there's already the comparison, will he overtake Brady? He has a lot of time left in his career. He was knocking on the door of 3 straight Super Bowl wins. They obviously didn't get it, but he's still a young guy. You got to take Patrick.
I will, to keep it succinct, because we got 10 of these, I'll just say +1. I was going to joke with you guys about how it was Baker Mayfield or something, but I can't even do that. I thought about it the exact same way, though. I will say that. I thought if you're going into everybody in the NFL is automatically a free agent. You're the GM of a team. What is your quarterback depth chart? So it's essentially the same idea. But I got Patrick Mahomes number one. I'd take him every time, despite his Super Bowl performance.
The Sharks, John.
Yeah.
The Sharks.
So as the Sharks official assistant GM, I am not going to throw a wrench in here. The answer is Patrick Mahomes, and I'm not even going to beat a dead horse. Can we just move on to number 2? Patrick Mahomes is obviously number 1.
All right, let's do a snake since we're doing it kind of draft style. Noah, you went last this time. You get the first and the second round. Who's the second best quarterback in the NFL? I can guarantee you we don't have the same answer this time.
I agree.
My answer to this question is that, man, just up the highway, if you start going towards Canada, a snow-weathered, big-bodied, running, throwing, football machine from Buffalo, Josh Allen, is the second best quarterback in the NFL, in my opinion.
Wow.
I like it. So, spoiler alert, not Josh Allen for me. This was one of the toughest. When I was doing the whole thing, this was one of the hardest slots. Who to put at number 10 was the most difficult. Who's 2 and who's 3 was the second most difficult. And I probably will disagree with you guys on both of them. If I were starting a franchise and had the second quarterback on my list, given everything we know, give me Joe Burrow from the Cincinnati Bengals. I think he's got more upside. I think he's done more with less. He has already played in a Super Bowl, despite Josh Allen being on the doorstep 80 times. He hasn't made it over the hump. Joe Burrow has demonstrated the fact that he could get you there. He's got all the talent in the world, and he's young. If I'm a GM of a team and I got to have a quarterback and Mahomes is off the board, I think I'm going with Joe Burrow, number 2.
Interesting take. I think the easy take around the NFL would probably be to say Josh Allen at 2. I don't hate Joe Burrow at 2 at all. He's high on my list too. But we're going to figure out real quick how we do a tiebreaker because I took Lamar Jackson in this spot.
I knew it.
That's fantastic.
Listen, I don't know how you could pick anyone else here. And that's not, I don't mind your picks. I'd love those quarterbacks on my team. Lamar Jackson just plays at a different level. He is unbelievable. Noah, you said that Josh Allen is a thrower. He's a runner. What is Lamar Jackson? I mean, he's setting records at these paces. And that team, I know that doesn't matter, but the team he has around him, I think there was some flack that they didn't go further this year. But it's not necessarily because of Lamar to me. When you have 1,000-yard rushing season as a quarterback, and yet, I know that's the joke that he's a running back. He can throw the ball. He's a fantastic quarterback. I hate how hated he is. I don't like him because he's at an AFC North rival, but I respect him and I respect his game. And I don't know. If it's
It
my
makes
money,
sense.
I think I'm putting him at 2.
I think it's a good pick. I think we all agree that if any of us ended up with any of these 3 quarterbacks, it would be dope. My real quick 4-word rebuttal would be, I agree with everything you said, just not in the playoffs. That's why Lamar dropped down my list. Can't depend on him when you need him most. So, Noah, how are we going to break the tie?
I love how you spin this on me to try to explain this. I was expecting not to be the one to explain this. So basically, we are going to go round robin, and we all get to pick one quarterback to get thrown out of the conversation. The person who picked said quarterback then gets to pick from the 2 remaining. I think that makes sense. If you're a little confused, you'll see it work here in theory. John, who is getting to pick an elimination first?
Noah, this is your game, and I like it. So why don't you go first?
Yeah, I love this game too because I'm going to eliminate your overrated quarterback from the south part of our beautiful, beautiful state. So I'm going to leave it to Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen.
And because my quarterback got kicked out, I get to say who goes in the second slot. And because I have Josh Allen at 3, I'll put him at number 2 now. So the number 2 quarterback in the NFL for our show, even though it's there's a dissenting opinion, you can tell by Eric's face, is going to be one Josh Allen.
Interesting.
And we're in here, and we continue. I like this. This is fun. Let's keep it going.
You were complaining about the MVP award, and that it did not go to Lamar or a running back, Saquon, whatever. And you just put the guy that won it in number 2. That's interesting.
Yeah. It is interesting for sure. But I'm happy because I'm 2 for 2 right now. So
now, to be fair,
That's not how we're playing this game, but go on.
And the guy I said was my MVP was Patrick Mahomes, and I put him at 1. So I said if it's not Mahomes, then it's Barkley. But yeah, I mean that's true. I didn't say
take Mahomes. I don't remember that.
Yeah, it's all good. This is fun. All right. I guess do we snake it the other way? I'll keep going in the middle, or should I go first?
Yeah, it's your turn. You lead us off.
Yeah, you go first. 3.
So this is the trick we didn't think about. We'll figure it out live and quickly. I said Joe Burrow. He got voted out. I said Josh Allen at 3, who is now number 2. So do I just say Joe Burrow again?
If that's your next answer, if that's the next quarterback.
Right.
How I would do it. Yeah, I'm keeping track as we go.
See my comments 5 minutes ago as to why Joe Burrow should be number 3, if not number 2.
All right, which would mean that I go next or Noah goes next?
Yeah, you can go because number 3 is going to end up being number 3 because we're going to agree here. I already know.
Okay. I'm going to throw a major wrench. No, I'm just kidding. It's Joe Burrow. Joey B is unbelievable.
You're taking Joe Burrow over Lamar after you just rode for Lamar?
Oh, Lamar didn't get. Okay. I forgot. You're right. I was confused. I thought I had it down. Sorry, Joe Cool. You're right. I'm taking Lamar. See my previous comments.
I will also take Lamar. So number 3 is officially Lamar Jackson for the At the Office top 10 quarterback list.
So Lamar goes to 3. You're right. I totally because I had Joe Burrow at 3.
So
right,
actually,
I love how you were just like, I'm keeping track, I'm good, and then just completely fumbled it.
I am too. I have a note up and everything. I just didn't do it well in my head, apparently.
All right. So we got Mahomes, we got Allen, we got Lamar. What's interesting is that we all had the same. Well, TBD. My number 4 is Lamar. So he already got put on. So I'll throw that out. Noah, why don't you get us kicked off this round? We'll snake you. Then Eric goes first next time. We'll get it back started.
Yeah, I think the top 4 quarterbacks in the NFL is very obviously the top 4 quarterbacks in the NFL. So I think I could speak for all of us and not to take your guys' thunder, but number 4 is about to be Joe Burrow. It should be Joe Burrow. The top 4 quarterbacks in the NFL are Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow. And then we start getting into tier 2 in my mind, which is almost where this is going to get more hectic in my opinion. So Joe Burrow is my vote for number 4.
All right. We have alignment. For the most part. I had Burrow a little higher than you, but we agree. Top 4 of the top 4, and I'm with you, Noah. There's 4 can't miss, hands down franchise guys who I'd put at tier 1 in the NFL. Everybody else is on a tier 2. Now, tier 2 is still really damn good because you have a Super Bowl winner, in my opinion, in tier 2. Hint, hint. But let's get started with this round. Noah, why don't you go first since that one was
Whoa. I didn't even go.
No.
It's not Joe
I get
Burrow?
to say, right? No,
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah,
but
you should
I
be
wanna
able
at
to
least
talk.
say it, man. And it's my turn to go first anyway. I'm gonna turn over host duties real soon.
No.
Get back to
Noah's
your
was a
thing,
Noah's
John.
was a Noah's was a throwaway because it was automatically Joe Burrow. So now that we're actually doing a real pick, I thought he could start off. But you guys
No,
do
that's
you.
all right. You're in charge.
Noah, who you got at
Bullshit.
number 5?
Number 5, I have the reigning Super Bowl champion for the Philadelphia Eagles. I have Jalen Hurts listed here. I think the Super Bowl pedigree gives me some sway to put him higher. He looked fantastic in that game. He's had some highs, he's had some lows in the NFL, but when you win a ring and you look that good on the grandest stage of them all, not WrestleMania for those who are wrestling fans out there, but in fact the Super Bowl, it's Jalen Hurts in my opinion because he is starting to butt up to that tier 1 top 4. It's going to be 5 in my opinion.
Yep. Couldn't have said it better myself. It's Jalen Hurts for me at number 5 as well. Not tier 1 because Saquon, I think, meant so much to that team that it's hard to say Jalen did all of it, but he did a lot when they needed it. He looked great this year. He got a well-deserving Super Bowl ring. Number 5 for me is Jalen Hurts.
Is it my turn?
Eric, you're allowed. Yeah. You're
I didn't know
allowed
if
to
we
talk.
wanted to move on because I agree. Jalen Hurts, I actually had him at 5. Listen, it's tough because Philadelphia's offense has been inconsistent. It runs through Saquon. The receivers were unhappy at one point, but he powered them to a Super Bowl appearance 2 years ago, and he powered them to a Super Bowl win this year. How could you take anybody else here? I think that he's shaken off that, he tended to hold onto the ball a little too long. I think that's gone. He's been accurate, and he takes off when he needs to. He uses his legs effectively. I think he's our number 5 guy.
I agree.
All right. That's the first unanimous decision since number 1, I think. So we're back. We're back in alignment. All right, let's keep the snake going. Who you got at 6? E.
So this is where things I think start to get a little controversial. You guys might like my pick. You might hate my pick. I'm really not sure. But who I have at number 6 and who was at number 6 for me is Baker Mayfield. Hear me out. He has gotten better and better with each new year. He was throwing for unbelievable yards, throwing for unbelievable touchdowns. He's a playmaker and he's accurate. He has been so accurate, and he was the heartbeat of the Bucs. He had some difficulty, but he took them to the playoffs, and I get it. There's other guys on the list that maybe have won a Super Bowl, another hint like John said. But for me, and maybe it's a little nostalgia that I want him back, he slots in at my number 6.
I love that pick. I'm a Baker bro or whatever Noah calls me. It's the last
That's what
Browns.
people call you type of people. You guys are Baker bros. Get over it. He's not your quarterback anymore, but I digress.
Yeah. It's hard to get over when you win 3 goddamn games for $300 million. Noah. It's a big, it's a tough
I
pill to
agree.
swallow.
I'm not saying it's easy, but I'm saying get over it.
I'll try. I just hope it doesn't take another 25 years. We'll see how they do this year. Baker Mayfield is right there for me, but at number 6, I thought to myself, okay, you said if you're the GM, who would you take next? There's a couple guys I take ahead of him in a fantasy draft when I'm starting a team, even though I think Baker is right there at this tier. For me, it's Jared Goff. He looked real good regular season. We know that they had some injuries. The season didn't end out how we thought it would. But coming into the NFC that was that tough, having that high of a seed, I mean, the Lions season was just fantastic. And a lot of it was because of him. If I actually had, the power in my hands and said, the first 5 guys we mentioned are off the board, it's pick number 6, John, take your quarterback. I think I'm definitely going Jared Goff over Baker Mayfield, but Erik, again, I love the pick. I mean, he's a gamer. These 6, 7, and 8 for me were really close. It wasn't hard for me to put them in order, but they're really close. But give me Jared Goff at 6.
So we're going to have another tiebreaker here because I disagree whole, whatever you want to say, Erik, heartedly with both of you. Number 6 is a young kid on the West Coast that unfortunately has had some ups, he's had some downs, but I think in terms of talent and building a franchise around a guy, he is the answer before Jared Goff and before Baker Mayfield. And that answer to me is one, Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert has had his highs, he's had his lows, and I think he fits here perfectly.
All right. Well, I'm the host, and it's my turn to pick, and Herbert's out. So,
okay. Well, then I'll pick Jared Goff gladly because Baker Mayfield isn't a top 10 quarterback.
What?
We can get into that at a later date.
Oh, it's been about 5 minutes. All right. So you're going to take Goff at 6.
See, this is the real flaw here in how we're doing it, because Noah's terrible take just gets to pick because you cut his terrible take.
Yeah,
that's okay.
Why is Justin Herbert a terrible take to you guys?
He's not a top 10 quarterback.
He's on my list. He's not top 10? That's
crazy.
Take.
No, I don't
so
have him. So
Baker Mayfield is in your mind, but Justin Herbert isn't?
Correct.
I can't wait to hear the rest of your list then, because
that's crazy.
I disagree with you there. I just don't think he's hit.
Well, we'll get
6,
into it.
But,
all
right.
So we got Jared Goff at 6 as our pick.
Yeah.
Whose turn is it to go first?
I think you.
Yeah, it's either me or you. So go ahead.
So Jared Goff made it. Number 7 for me. You think about what a kid did in his rookie year. You talk about a kid on the other coast. The Washington Commanders played for an NFC championship, and that franchise has been dead as a doornail for decades. That's good alliteration. I didn't even do that on purpose. Dead as a doornail for decades, man. I really think that this kid has nothing but upside.
Wait, I have something for that. Hold on. All right. There you go.
That took way
You're
too
welcome.
long.
Thank you. I'll take it.
That software wasn't up at the moment.
The late golf clap is better than no golf clap. Kid just balled out. He put up crazy numbers. He reminds me of like Lamar Jackson because he can run. He's an athlete. He can certainly throw. And he had them on the doorstep of the Super Bowl, ran into a juggernaut of an Eagles team that, I mean, hell, the Commanders didn't lose as bad to the Eagles as the Chiefs did. I think it's bright days ahead and sunny skies for Commanders fans. I think it's because of one Jaden Daniels. So give me him at number 7.
So is it me up next?
Let's do Erik this time. Yeah,
okay,
I don't
Erik,
know.
Why not? Go ahead, brother.
I mean, listen, I got to stick with Baker for everything I said, but on my natural list, I did have Jaden Daniels at number 7. And because of that, I'll talk about him for a minute. He was unbelievable. I mean, this is a rookie that threw for over 3,500 yards, 25 touchdowns, had a passer rating of 100.1, which was 7th in the NFL this year. Ooh. That's unbelievable. He was 331 of 480, by the way, 69%, which was 6th in the NFL. This kid is a baller. I don't think it was a fluke. I don't think you're going to see him go terribly backwards in his sophomore season. I guess I could have used sophomore slump. My pick is Baker, but I love Jaden Daniels.
Yeah, I'll keep my wrench in there and say I think Justin Herbert deserves a higher point right now than Jaden Daniels. If we talk about this next year and we see back-to-back success, I 100% agree. And Jaden Daniels is on my personal top 10 list, so I'm not discrediting anything that happened with that season. But to put a rookie quarterback as high as number 7 in my mind is getting a little touchy. I think he's up there. I think he's top 10, but I'm going to stick with Justin Herbert because I think we've seen plenty out of that guy to deserve number 7 in the NFL.
Which means that I guess I get to kick out a quarterback.
You do.
And I would have to kick out. I don't want Noah to pick again, though. That's the problem. Do I game it or do I say the truth?
You say the truth because Herbert is not the 7th best quarterback on this list either.
I agree. I got to kick out Herbert. which means I'm guessing Jaden Daniels is our number 7.
Yes, Jaden Daniels is our number 7. I will gladly trump the Baker Mayfield card as long as I can on this because he is not a top 10 quarterback.
Oh, he's not on your list at all?
No.
That
not
is
on yours either,
wilder to
John?
me than Baker Mayfield not being on your top 10 list is crazier than Herbert not being on mine. He got MVP votes this year.
Right.
Both are absolutely nuts. I'm the only sane one on this show. All right.
That's crazy. Says the guy with a mismatched hat and a mismatched jersey right now. Come on, man.
I'm stylish. First of all, you know you have a bad argument when you try to make personal insults. Nice try. Your takes are terrible.
You know it's all love, brother.
All right.
Always.
Let's get into number 8. We only got a few left. I lost track of whose turn it is to start. I think it's Eric. No, Eric just went. It's Noah.
Justin Herbert, next question.
Okay, this is where I say Baker Mayfield, number 8.
Oh, I have Baker Mayfield too, which means
Boom.
he is officially at
Sorry,
number
Noah. I
8.
guess he is the top 10 quarterback, isn't he?
He is
He's
on
not,
the
but-
list, and obviously I think we'll do this, but I do want to hear who was on your list that we missed once we get to the end.
For sure. We can do that. You want to keep moving for now, though?
Let's
Sure.
do it. I think I'm up next. This was where it got tougher. So I said, who comes in last? I put this guy in there, 9 and 10. GM of a team, got a draft for the future. Give me somebody who's going to be solid for the longest. I think I go Jordan Love at 9. He had a hell of a year.
Hate the take.
Thank you. They got bad weather. They don't have great. I mean, he did a lot with not a lot in a really, really tough division. That division, everybody but the Bears was like won 12 games. Certainly, I like his upside over Herbert at this point of his career, and that's why I put him ahead of him. I like him over a few other folks as well. We'll get into that when we wrap up, but give me Jordan Love at 9.
Who's going?
Okay.
Can I go? Just because
Sure.
we know what I'm going to say. Justin Herbert, next answer. Eric, go.
Well, this one's pretty easy for 9 because I have Justin Herbert as my natural 9 on my list. So I agree with him there. Listen, stat padding exists in the NFL, and there are meaningless numbers for blowout losses. See Blake Bortles on the 2015 Jags. But I think that Herbert puts up good numbers because he's a good player. And he doesn't even pass at a particularly high volume. The pass offense has always been the crown jewel of that team, though, under Herbert. We don't talk about the running backs in in LA. Dated myself a little there. We talk about the pass offense, and that is because of Justin Herbert, and I think he deserves to be on this list, and I think he is a solid 9.
All right, I got outvoted. I don't hate it. I don't think Herbert sucks. I have him at 11 on my list, so it's not like I thought he was a bum. I just thought I'd rather have Jordan Love and one other person ahead of him. We got through this pretty well. We're 40 minutes in. We got one quarterback left.
I think Noah and I are on the same page here.
Why don't you two go
I
first?
think.
Then?
You
All right,
go first,
Ready
Eric.
let's do it together on 3. 1, 2, 3. Matt
Matt
Stafford.
Stafford.
Jordan Love.
It's Matt Stafford for sure, because even though he's older, he deserves to be in the top 10. And the thing that I don't like about this list, we could talk about Jared Goff and Baker Mayfield. I had Jared Goff as my 10. Baker Mayfield not on it. CJ Stroud, guys.
CJ Stroud. So CJ Stroud's my number 10, but I said Jordan Love at 9 and didn't get it. So I played the game like we'd been playing it.
Stroud's
Baker Mayfield.
fair.
Yeah, I got Jaden Daniels, Baker Mayfield, Jordan Love, CJ Stroud, and then Herbert at 11 and Matt Stafford at 12.
I feel like Stroud, for some reason, just completely was blank in my mind when I was making this list. I'm not sure I would change the list, and I like Stafford still at 10. I would like to point out I'm the only one on the show that had all 10 of his picks as the top 10 quarterbacks. So take that for what you will.
To me, to not have CJ Stroud in here, but have a Jared Goff or a Baker Mayfield is absolutely blasphemous on us as a show. Because
What has
CJ
Stroud done, though? I mean,
more
he's a
than
good
Baker?
quarterback, but Baker got a playoff win. Well, so did Stroud, I guess, against hapless Browns. But I don't know. Over Goff,
is
though?
10 times. Goff is arguable. Goff was on my list. CJ Stroud over Baker Mayfield, 110%, 3 times a week. And if you're saying anything else, you're lying.
No.
No,
you're lying.
This is what I love about it. And Noah, you always speak in the absolutes when nothing is absolute. Say Baker Mayfield isn't on this list, and even though he's older, he deserves to be on the list because he played well in the past. I don't think it holds up.
I don't think Baker Mayfield holds up as a top 10 quarterback, and I will die on that hill because he's not a top 10 quarterback. And I, again, spoke in absolutes on purpose.
I mean, we can look at the stats, so let's just do that real quick. In 2024, Baker had 407 completions to C.J. Stroud's 336. He had a percentage of 71.4 to Stroud's 63.2. He had 4,500 yards to Stroud's 37.27. He had 41 touchdowns to Stroud's 20. He had more interceptions. He did have 16 interceptions to Stroud's 12.
Say that one again. How many touchdowns? How many touchdowns?
41 to 20.
Oh, look at Noah. He goes, touchdowns, like those don't matter in football.
He
whoop, he threw more. He threw for twice as many touchdowns. Who cares? Yeah, everybody.
So you're telling
he had
me
more rushing yards?
You can sit there in good faith, look me in the eyes and say, if you're starting a franchise tomorrow and your 2 options are Baker Mayfield and CJ Stroud, you're taking Baker Mayfield and not regretting it at all. Right, Eric. Exactly.
Who knows if you're going to regret it? Yes, I can say that.
Yeah, I'm not sure I could go that far, but
well, you had
from
him
what
at
we've
7
seen
or
so
6.
far,
You had him
Baker's
higher
the
than
better
me.
quarterback. I think Stroud. Here's the thing, and here's why I can't say that, because I think Stroud has the higher ceiling. Baker right now is the better quarterback. There's a big difference there. We talked about ceiling with the Browns and Deshaun Watson. Look how that ended up. So that doesn't mean anything right now. As of now, and looking at last season, Baker's the better quarterback.
Yeah, I was like, you can't.
We could argue this
you had
forever.
Baker at number 5, and then you had Baker at number 5. You forgot about C.J. Stroud. Oh, the number 6. You had Baker at 6. You forgot about C.J. Stroud, and then Noah put that question to you, and you got wishy-washy. And I was like,
because it's based
wait,
on
don't
the
leave
ceiling.
me hanging now.
I think he has. I do think that he has
fair.
a higher ceiling. But as of now, he's not a better quarterback.
I disagree with you guys, but I feel like we could talk circles around this for hours on end. And you already got me heated enough for the next topic, so I'm just gonna concede for the time being.
Spoiler alert: it's another dumb take.
It's not a dumb take.
You're gonna argue with facts again, and I can't wait. I can't wait.
I
got
have
receipts.
facts. I can't wait. John, take us to break, man.
Noah's like, I would take Myles Garrett at quarterback 10th. I promise. Yeah, we're gonna have more of that coming.
Why do you always give Noah like a southern good old boy accent?
But we'll be back.
Right. Go ahead, John.
We talked about this last night. It's the Ashtabula accent.
Oh, gotcha. My bad.
Oh God. Hold on. We do have a question
all right, let's
on
get out
Instagram.
to commercial break. We'll come
Hold
back
on, John.
John, we have a question on Instagram.
Can you hear me,
Yeah,
John?
go ahead.
John would be terrible on the news.
I got a delay. Go for it.
Oh, I'm like, the producer would be in his ear and he'd just be plowing on.
Right.
Michael on Instagram said,
I got a real bad delay. Go for it, E.
Michael on Instagram said, serious question for Noah. Not knowing if you're a Browns fan or not, he is. If Baker puts these numbers up as a Browns QB, does that sway your opinion?
Yeah, probably. I'm a known Cleveland homer. I've said that multiple times here on the show. So
him putting up numbers like that for Cleveland, he's the better quarterback?
Yep.
Your whole argument's invalidated.
Nope. Orange and brown till the day I die.
Let's cut the break, John. In 20 seconds.
Let's do it. We'll be after this commercial break. And we're back. All right. Debate.
We are off the rails tonight.
John is glitching to all of the highest degree. We are back and we are doing our thing. John is absolutely frozen on the screen right now. We are back here at the office talking all things sports. Please subscribe or hit the download button. It helps us grow the show here a ton. Drop us a comment whether you're watching the live show or not. Check out our merch store at the office, CLE, for all your merchandise needs. Lastly, shout out Fans for Sports Network for everything we do. Erik, John, are you back? Are you lagging still? Are you good?
I think so. I tried to text you guys. You kept laughing about me talking over a producer on the news, and I was like, it isn't me. There's a 10-second delay. I don't think no one knows what he's going to say 10 seconds in advance, let alone me being able to predict it. So, yeah,
why did
sorry.
I
wouldn't normally
for no reason?
I wouldn't normally put up our personal text, but the text is great because this is from John. Everybody try and relax. LOL. My Wi-Fi is spotty. I'm not talking over anyone. The sass dripping from that text is fantastic.
Yeah, because, sometimes I do talk over you. Just tonight wasn't one of those times. All right, let's get into the second topic before my Wi-Fi cuts out again. No, you know what it is, just in case. But this one is a little bit different. We're all familiar with this theory in Cleveland. So most of the teams get to an end of a good run, regardless of the sport. Maybe you were really competitive, but everybody got old or retired, or you realize you built an average team at best, but not a good ones. Fans are apathetic or disinterested. Veterans are set to make trillions of dollars and have fat contracts. Mediocrity is set in, and it's time to blow it up. To get good again, you got to build from the ground up. You need good picks. There's a few ways to go about it. You can trade, you can move assets, you can think strategically about the draft and take best player where you are, knowing you're probably going to be bad, or you could literally suck on purpose. It's called tanking. Allegedly, reportedly, professional sports teams don't do it, but there's some really good examples of teams that were obviously not trying to win. And the question that we debated, we want to debate with you, is does this work? Is tanking a viable option? Does tanking actually work? Is it a franchise best interest to try to deploy that as a strategy? I don't know who the hell started last time, but I like Erik's hockey jersey, so I'm going to let him kick this one off. E, do you think tanking works?
Short answer, yes. Long answer, it's complicated. The only way that we can really answer a question like this is to look at history and facts. Yes, I'm pointing out facts for Noah.
I have facts too, dude, to back up what I'm saying, but go ahead.
The fact is it has worked. We've seen it work with the Astros, who were awful and went on to win championships. We've seen it work with the Cubs, who were awful and then went on to win a championship. There's an argument that the 76ers, that's the big known tanking season, right? Sure, they tanked. Sure, trust the process didn't work out too well. But by the way, they got a guy named Joel Embiid from that process who's the only bright spot for that team in Philly that sure hasn't led them to a championship, but is the only reason they win games for the last several years. So to say that tanking doesn't work, I think is a naive take because it does work. We've seen it in recent history. The bigger question for me is tanking worth it? And I know that's a different question since I already answered the first, but my answer to that is probably not. Because unless you do get over the hump and win a championship, what it does to your culture, which it destroys, is not worth it in my opinion. I should note too that one of my takes on this has to do with it being easier for certain sports. It's a lot harder to tank and win in the NFL unless somehow you hit on your quarterback in that way. But one guy making a difference is a little harder.
So, Erik, it's funny to me because we're actually way more aligned on this than you think. Does
Okay.
tanking work? Sure, you're going to get good players if you suck, in theory, right? But to me, working is being successful and winning a championship. It is not destroying your locker room. It is not making mistakes in the draft, and you have to do it perfectly in order for it to work. The 76ers you brought up as an example, sure, they have Joel Embiid. They haven't won shit. The suck for luck Colts, they were good. Sure, don't get me wrong. They didn't win a Super Bowl. Trevor Lawrence right now on the Jags, they sucked for Trevor Lawrence, went 1-15, sat Gardner Minshew during that season before, and where are they right now? In the same realm we are. And of course, I got to bring up the Browns 0-16 season, because starting Deshaun Kaiser for as long as we did during that season was absolutely abysmal, and Hugh Jackson should have been fired for that alone. So does tanking work? Sure, you got a better chance at getting a good prospect, a good player, but no, it's not worth alienating fans because your team sucks. It's not worth other teams potentially tanking and you having to compete to suck even more. The front office making a mistake, and right. Or the Jets, either New York team is an example of that. Front offices make mistakes. Prospects aren't certain. And, the dysfunction, it just breeds more dysfunction. And maybe I have such a salty taste of dysfunction and tanking in my mouth because of the Cleveland Browns, but I would rather not suck, try, figure it out like the Chiefs did, end up falling with Patrick Mahomes in your lap and winning almost 3 Super Bowls in a row. But if I'm wrong, tell me I'm wrong.
But so we agree like emphatically.
So there's 2 things that you said that I wanted to jump in.
You're good. You go.
John, you're good.
Okay. There's 2 things I wanted to say where I disagree with Noah, because I think you make a good point. But first, they didn't say, what would you rather do as a fan? They said, does tanking work is the question. Nobody wants to suck. The question is, does tanking work? The other thing that we did was take a very football-centric focus on this. I think it's harder to tank and win in the NFL. I think in the years where LeBron James, Carmelo Anthony, and Dwayne Wade come out in the draft, if you suck real bad one year in the NBA, you can be really, really, really good. Ask the Magic what Paolo Banchero means to them. Ask what, even if you don't know you're going to hit on the draft, if you can get a Steph Curry, if you can get a Kevin Durant or LeBron James or that type of talent in the NBA, it turns the entire trajectory of a city and a franchise around instantly for NBA. So when you think about tanking working, no, going 0-16 to turn around and draft Myles Garrett and then go 1-15, no, maybe it doesn't work. In the NBA, yeah, sucking works. That's why they have a lottery, because people want to suck so bad to get the best players because they know they can turn the franchise on a dime. I think it certainly works in the NBA, even if it's not so great in the NFL.
There's a point that I want to make to you, Noah, and that is you want to do this next year. You keep talking about how the Browns are going to suck. Let's take Abdul Carter because he's the best option in the draft, knowing we're going to suck, hence tank, and then take a good quarterback next year. That's your whole strategy for the Browns this upcoming season.
That is and it isn't. You're contingent on taking Abdul Carter with the thought process that you're going to get a Kirk Cousins or someone else to come in and play that position. I get what you're saying. Yes, I said the Browns are going to suck that next year because the odds are the Browns are going to suck next year. So
and you said we should take a quarterback in a better class next year. To get that quarterback, you have to
right, but you can trade up in a draft even if you're bad. And if it's a quarterback class with 5-6 quarterbacks, Patrick Mahomes went what overall? 12, 14, something like that. You can get the caliber of prospect. We don't need to go down this rabbit hole. You should check out our episode from last week if you want to hear us go down this rabbit hole. But you can get the caliber of prospect you could get at 2 this year at like 20, 30, maybe even 40 in other drafts. That's my argument.
So I like John is normally the guy that uses semantics here. That's the accountant in him. And I think it's necessary here because we asked, does it work? Doug on Instagram said, does it work or is it successful? We've seen that it can work and that it has been successful. That was the question. So the answer is yes. We move into, and I agree with Noah's take, should you do it? And for me, that answer is no. What it does to the culture, to the fan base, Unless, like John said, in specific circumstances, if we can tank and get LeBron, okay, sure, that's fine.
Yeah. If they said is tanking fun for fans, I would be with Noah. But that's not the question I tried to answer. Yeah.
It's
Michael,
funny because
Michael's keeping us honest because he said, in your defense, Noah, John and Eric both agreed with you last week on taking Carter and signing Cousins with Stefanski offense over taking Sanders and Ward. Michael, of course, yeah, I agree with that still, but it's contingent on getting Kirk Cousins. We don't have that playbook right now or a Matt Stafford. I'm fine with that too. We don't have that yet, and I don't trust in our front office to get it done because they've let us down to this point. Go on, Noah.
Yeah, and I totally get that too. I just think it's funny, and since we're all kind of on the same page, we don't have to keep going down this path, but the way we each interpret the question formulates our take. So for me, does tanking work? Yes, in theory, no in practice because XYZ. Yes, in theory, like you're going to get good players, potentially, most likely, more likely. No in practice because it hurts the culture, it hurts the fan base, it hurts everything that we've already mentioned. It's just funny to me how we each take the question, formulates our take, and you guys were hot at me for saying, no, it doesn't work when we're actually all in agreement.
Only because we gave you specific examples of it working. There are 2 World Series champions that it worked.
Right.
There's plenty of examples that I listed some of my own of it not working out to the potential you want it to. To me, if you tank and you don't win a championship, it is not worth it. And you've given me 2 examples of a championship.
What about the Cavs? Because you could argue that all of these draft picks that we accumulated to put our current team together, minus some of the trades, was the result of tanking.
But they weren't tanking. They ended up
it was
being
Colin Sexton in a lot of trash for a long time.
But that's where you end up. The difference between Colin Sexton and a lot of trash is that's where you end up when LeBron James leaves and Kyrie Irving leaves and you just pass that window. Tanking to me is purposefully losing, like the 1-15 Jags, like the fans carrying suck for luck signs into the stadium. I'm just using those 2 as an example.
But you choose to lose at a certain point. So for a Cavs franchise that goes, all right, we're not very good, you play the first 20 games or whatever, we have an owner that can make moves and go out there and spend a ton of money to bring guys in. If you choose actively not to do that and not to try to make your team better by the trade deadline, then that's like passive tanking.
That's passive tanking, I guess. That's not what I would call it, but I get what you're saying. To me, tanking in my mind is trust the process, suck for luck, 1-15 for Trevor Lawrence, 0-16 Browns, like these tried and true cases. There is a gray area with this, and that's what makes this argument fun, I think. Go ahead, John.
I think the thing that makes it fun too is the definition of tanking. I don't think of tanking as going out and intentionally trying to lose games because you can't pay a roster of pros to go out and do that. You can't pay a coach to do that. You put Deshaun Kaiser and Josh Booty on the roster as starting quarterback and then go play and try to win knowing they're terrible. I don't think they ever go into the locker room and say, you guys got to suck because we got to get the number 1 pick. They just don't try to win games because they don't have the talent and they don't put it out there.
To play devil's advocate, the definition of tanking, according to the Sports Journal of America, I think this is. I didn't write my exact quote, so if that wasn't correct, I'm sorry. Tanking, when a sports team intentionally loses games to improve their draft position.
I mean, sure.
Yes, starting shitty players is intentionally losing the game.
Right. But you're going. We're doing I can't do it. Why can't I not say that word on live? I say it in person all the time. Semantics. We're doing semantics at this point. Because if John pulled up that definition, he'd act like it was the greatest thing since sliced bread because he had a definition and he used it as his backbone for his argument. So I had a definition ready, willing, and able, and because you didn't like it, you shot me down.
Noah's coming for you, man.
It's okay. I'm still right, but I'm glad he has all that energy.
I have plenty of energy. I've been waiting for this show all week. I love talking to you, gentlemen.
It should be noted, by the way, that the trust the process, Sam Hinkie was fired before he could see through that process.
That's fair too.
Yeah. I guess my last word on that is yes, it works in theory. Yes, it works in practice, just not all the time. You might look at somebody who says, buying Mega Millions tickets is my retirement plan. How often does it work? Almost never, but it works for somebody every single time they get their number drawn. So
you can't win if you don't play. It's not my retirement plan by any means, but you cannot win if you don't play. I want you to remember that.
That's fantastic.
All right, gentlemen, this has been a hell of a debate. Let's bring it home. What have you been thinking about all week? What's that hot take that's down deep in your soul that you're just waiting to share with the listeners? Erik, I'll let you go first for the last segment. So Noah, why don't you get us started for hot takes?
Yeah, my hot take is so funny because I got called out for my Abdul Carter take again on this show. But my hot take is doubling down with some fact of what my hot take was last week. And that is the Browns are taking quarterback at number 2. Abdul Carter is probably going number 1 in my mind at this point. The Titans have all but called him a generational talent. Yes, they did say that, Erik. So I think I do think Abdul is the number 1 overall pick here. And to back up that as well, Adam Schefter said, it all but seems like the Cleveland Browns are taking a quarterback at number 2. So lace up your boots, be ready to go, whether it's Cam Ward or Shador. I'm leaning into it unless we get lucky. And you can check out our thoughts on this from the Monday episode, and we get a guy like Matt Stafford. But my hot take is Browns go QB.
Love it. Well, how about you, E?
So sometimes I take this time to touch on something serious. Sometimes I give my insane opinions on how the NBA All-Star Game should shake out and it should become a reality TV show. But today I want to do a fun winning celebration. I have a little video that I'm going to play for you. And the reason that I'm going to do it today is because this happened 13 years ago on the day. It became a meme. It's one of the greatest celebrations I've ever seen. Forget Tiger and his fist pump and his red on Sunday. This is what it means to be a champion.
Strike to claim it. A strike to claim it. And he got it!
That's number 5. Are you kidding me? That's right. Who do you think you are? I am. Get it right.
Who do you think you are? I am. It doesn't even make grammatical sense. I love this guy. I love how pumped up he is. He strikes me as the kind of guy that is hate-filled in his winning, but he had won his 5th championship there, his 5th U.S. Open title, which is a record breaker, and that's what you get. I love it.
You had me laughing as soon as I saw it was a bowling clip. I'm still I'm wiping tears from my eyes. That was
Have you seen that before?
No.
Oh my
that
gosh.
clip's hilarious.
It was like
fantastic.
Viral. That is a great clip. I every now and then will still say, "Who do you think you are?" I am, like randomly, and it's like yelling OH and waiting for the IO. Like somebody's gonna go, "That was awesome."
I wanted the video to be a surprise, but Noah and I bawled before the show tonight, and I wanted to yell it so bad at one point, and I'm like, you know what? I'll just wait. I don't want to give up the surprise.
I'm glad you didn't, because that was a good one.
No, I'm rolling over here.
To wrap things up, my hot take, it is a little bit more of a serious note, but it's still lighthearted. Erik shared some information with me last week that I thought was awesome. And that since we started this podcast, I still believe less than a year ago, I'll have to double check our date. We have gained hundreds of followers, hundreds of likes. We're getting hundreds of views. And when we started, it was like a couple family and friends who were clicking on a link and hopefully watching it a week or two after the fact. We're we're not ESPN. We don't have 1 million followers, but we are what we are because we got listeners like you guys. So I wanted to give you guys a shout out, say thank you for tuning in, for streaming, for watching. Watching the chat blow up every now and then is super fun. Knowing that we got some diehards who are here with us almost every week is pretty sweet too. Tell your friends about us, but thank you for being a part of what we do at the office. It's great sharing Wednesday nights with you. Gentlemen, any final thoughts before we get out of here tonight?
Just love you guys. Love what we do over here. And nudge, nudge, wink, wink. Live and in person, sooner rather than later. Details to come.
It's a tease. That's how you do a tease.
There you go, buddy. All right. Thank you guys for joining us. Don't forget to subscribe or hit the download button if you're listening to the audio only version. Check us out on all the socials at The Office Clee. Thank you to Fan First Sports and D&D Meadery. Have a great day. Have a great night. Go Cavs. And until next time, Cleveland, stay up.